Yeah. Yeah. My nigga, I'm slamming doors on the street, Jeep up on a heat seat. I'm on 13th Street, my mind on tilt and tilt on my mind. Rapping on these streets, running them like sweet feet, covered in gold like C3P. Oh, I'm from that P-O-R-T-L-A and DG. You niggas are way behind, but I got that state of mind. Keeping writing the greatest lines while I'm on my way to shine. They be hating mine, but I ain't surprised. Look at me, big smile with a tank top and some top-notch kick. And I bet you will not cop this, cause it's a one-on-one, meaning one and done. And you never gonna get another.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Sends and Suffers podcast. I am your host, Mario Stanley, and welcome to the show. It's been a minute, y'all. All right, so first things first, I know you guys are like, Mario, when are you going to land on some music? But this is Pearl by my buddy, Devin Dabney. This track is fire, and this track kind of sets the tone for this episode, honestly, funny enough. We're going to be talking about music. We're going to be talking about things that remind us of our childhood. And if I had to describe a feeling to just sum up this episode, it's hominess. Straight up. It's just hominess. That's really what it brings into that feeling. So I'm really excited to share a conversation between Devin, Kris, and I about our past and the things that have shaped us into who we are now. Now, on the reels, gotta make a little apology. I know I've been out for a minute and some of you guys have been reaching out to me and I super appreciate it. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you reaching out. Snowpocalypse hit us pretty hard. And honestly, being from the Northeast, snow wasn't the issue. Not having power and having to shut down everything just was a snowball effect. And I'm finally feel like I'm catching up. And I have missed creating this content for you guys. I have missed interacting with you guys. Honestly, I just miss y'all. I mean, I don't even see y'all. Y'all are like looking at your radio, getting all tearful-eyed and cheery-eyed right now. And I'm just sitting here on the other end. I'm like wanting to be the source of that tear. If it's not happening, let's muster it up. Just make me feel good a little bit, something, whatever. But point being is, I apologize for my tardiness. I want to let you guys know that this is important to me. Sharing these stories are important to me. And you, the greater climbing and adventurous community, are important to me. And so I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be sharing this with you. And I look forward to sharing more stories with you guys. Sticker Club members, gotta throw that out there. My bad, have not gotten things to you. Some of you guys should have received some things in the mail. Reach out to me. Let me know if you didn't get anything. But all of you are about to be bombarded on Monday because I am going cray with stuff. I'm going to put it in the mail to you guys. So first we're going to get caught up on stickers. Then some love letters are going out because it's time for us to have a chat. But most importantly, listen to this chat and fall in love with the rhythm and the rhymes and three guys talking about what made them who they are.
I didn't anticipate that. Okay.
Yeah. I've been basically quoting you all week and we've been talking back and forth. And so I figured at some point in time, I was like, why not?
He keeps calling me Dr. Dre and I blame that entirely on you.
It's because it is all on me. Because it's what I call you, Kris. You are Dr. Dre.
I suppose I'm not mad at it.
No, man. Plus, like, if you're not Dr. Dre, then I can't be Eminem, and I have to be Eminem. So,
awesome.
You know, A equals B and B equals C. You know.
Yeah, where are you at right now?
I'm just at like a little park that's close to where I live. Just like hanging out. I try to get myself some space so that I can talk and not be not interrupted. That sounds like I have something important to say, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I think everything you say is important.
Don't say that to me too many times. I'm on the come up. You don't want me to turn into a Kanye West, do you?
I'd vote for you.
Something tells me your family members would slap the living shit out of you if you went that far.
Oh yeah, my mom wouldn't let me live to see that day. There's no way. No way at all.
Plus, Kanye lives pretty close to me, so we'd see each other more if you were Kanye.
Shit, that's right. He's got that ranch.
Yeah, it's right off the road on the way to the Boulders.
Wait a minute, Kanye owns a ranch near you?
In Wyoming, yeah.
Why'd
he buy a ranch?
It's insane.
Because
he doesn't even know how to ride a horse.
Insane,
because
dude.
there's no income taxes in Wyoming.
Oh.
That's why Kanye bought a ranch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's huge too. Like it's really, really big.
Yeah, he's got 2 of them. The main one that used to be called Monster Lake, now it's West Lake. I think he should have just kept it Monster Lake. I think that's
a way better name.
Appropriate too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and he has a song.
I know.
You know.
Yeah, one of his last great songs, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That song was I think that was the pinnacle, or like the last really good posse cut. You guys know when like there'd be like 10 rappers on a song.
Yeah.
Like we don't really see that anymore. But yeah, like that was the last time where you had like 4 or 5 rappers on a song, and it was like, oh, I can't wait for Jay-Z's verse. You know, I can't wait for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's a lost art form for sure now.
I karaoke'd that song in El Paso 2 years ago. I did Jay's verse.
But I was like, by yourself? The whole thing?
No, I couldn't pull off Nicki's verse no matter how hard I tried.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be a hell of an accomplishment, honestly.
So how are you doing today, man? How's your day been?
It's been good. I've been reading this book called We Make the Road by Walking, which is a lot about education and creating social change through education. It's really cool. Like it's just like these 2 guys that like, you know, Miles Horton and Paulo Freire, like they basically, Miles Horton was like one of the underground people. He was like one of the Dr. Dre's of the civil rights movement, you know, like he taught like Rosa Parks and MLK and people like that. And yeah, it's just like these 2 dudes that have been doing this stuff for 50 years, talking back and forth. And I've just been reading it and just like making notes and trying to figure out how I can use that, you know, in what I do with climbing. But yeah, that's pretty much been my day. And then I opened a bottle of wine, and then that's the rest was history.
I was about to say, red wine or white wine?
It was a red table wine. It's because my mom, she drinks, but she's not like she doesn't like bitter wines, you know. So I opened a table wine. It's a real sweet wine, and I had like maybe a glass, but I mostly opened it for her. But yeah, I like all kinds of. I mean, I'll drink everything. I mean, I probably my favorite thing I love is whiskey, but you know, I like wine, I like beer, I like everything.
Oh, I was about to say, Kris and I polished off half a bottle of bourbon and whiskey blend this week.
Yeah. Well, the rest of it's gone now.
Yeah. Bethany made quick work of that last night.
Damn.
Hey, question.
Man, I'm so envious.
Question for you.
Up?
Are you a Tribe Called Quest fan? We've never really talked about hip hop.
Oh.
I don't know how that's even possible, but we haven't really.
Wait, we really haven't?
Yeah, not really.
That's wild.
I find that really odd.
I don't know, maybe because we've always talked about climbing ideas, and the hip hop thing has kind of always just been, we've always done it separate. Like we've always talked about either our music or like when we're in person, we're usually talking about climbing stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, I love Tribe. Like that was, I think, and I'm ashamed to say I didn't grow up on Tribe. Like I probably started listening to them when I was 18 years old. But it was
what
it was
year
around
was
that time. It was 2008, 2009. Okay. Yeah. It was right around the time that it was about 2 years before that. I had gotten sick and saturated of the way rap was then. Like I stopped watching the BET Awards, and like I was just like, rap is done. Like I was just so over it. But so I was kind of like going backwards a little bit, and I love Tribe so much because they had, I mean, obviously they have a huge jazz influence, so it was just way more musical and way more. It felt way I don't know, a lot more artistic to me. And obviously, like, their lyrics are really good, but I just really appreciated how musical they were.
Yeah.
You know, they used real instruments, like, had jazz influence. It was, yeah. So that was my introduction to them, was just a disillusionment with hip hop's current state.
Yeah, totally. Have you read the book Go Ahead in the Rain, Notes to a Tribe Called Quest? It's so dope. I just started reading it yesterday and I can hardly put it down. It's this dude from Columbus, Ohio, and he talks about the story of like how he discovered Tribe and how he engaged with it. And he sort of relates it to being Black in America, and, you know, oscillates between telling the history of Tribe, his relationship to it, and then he writes love letters to the members, like all throughout the book. Every few chapters, he writes another love letter to the members, each individual member. And it's so fucking beautifully written. I was sitting here today reading it, and it really made me want to write the dude a letter, like on actual paper with an actual pen.
That's so dope.
Yeah, I'm going to write him a letter
really
for sure.
cool.
The author of the book or Tribe Called Quest?
The author of the book, his name, and I'm going to totally butcher this. It's Hanif Abdurraqib, I think.
You'll have to send me that book, like that title at some point.
Yeah, I'll send you a photo of it. It's amazing. Just one of the coolest books I've ever read.
Man.
Mario's going to send you a photo right now.
Oh, dope. I think one thing people don't realize is that, you know, at least I didn't realize it until a little while ago, that those dudes still make music. Like, I was listening to Danny Brown the other day, and I can't remember what song it was that I really liked, but it turned out that Q-Tip had produced it.
Q-Tip's one of the best producers in hip hop, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and he's got so much, like, I feel like people just know him for that sound, but yeah, like, it was, I think it was Dirty Laundry by Danny Brown, but that Q-Tip had produced it, and it was just like, I was like, wait a minute, what? Like, that's not what I would have never guessed that. But yeah, he's out here. He has not stopped.
Yeah, Tip is brilliant, man. I took Drew Mack to see Nas performing Illmatic in Detroit.
Oh man.
on the 20th anniversary of Illmatic. And,
oh man.
And when the song One Love came on, which Q-Tip produced, it was like, I've never quite felt anything like that in my chest. And I grew up in the era of like big booming car systems. But I've never felt anything like the bass from One Love in my chest from that night. So crazy.
Dang. Dude, I can't even imagine. I bet Drew was losing his shit.
Drew lost his damn mind. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't say I blame him. Yeah, like that record, I knew it was a really good record, but I remember when I watched, what's that show on Netflix that tells the history of hip hop really quickly?
Oh yeah. I can't remember the name of it.
Google. Y'all know what I'm talking about though, right?
Yeah,
yeah. It's like just the way, the history of that album, and just how at the time it was basically the Hip Hop Justice League of producers came together, and they had this like Superman of rap, you know, like this unprecedented talent of lyrical ability, and they just like, I mean, that's why when you listen to that album now, it's probably, I don't know if there's such thing as a perfect hip hop album, but it's pretty damn close. It's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. It's in I've been gradually collecting my top 10 on vinyl, and I definitely have that one. So definitely in my top 10.
Absolutely. I don't know if I've ever really thought about, man, I've obviously thought about it. Never mind. It would be really hard for me to pick my top 10.
I was going to say, of course you've thought about what are your top 10.
Yeah. It's just hard to decide, you know?
It is. It's really hard. Like I can pick 5 of them immediately. And then I start debating the other 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, like, I mean, yeah, there's some things that will always, like, for me, I think, Illmatic and like College Dropout's always going to be one of the first ones I think of. And then like, I think The Cool by Lupe Fiasco is another one.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that one's good.
It's so like, to me, it's so timeless. I love that album. And then but once I get out of those, like those,
on it, right?
well, that's Food and Liquor, but low key, I think that also kind of could be up there. I think that for me, The Cool was, the reason I say The Cool is because, number one, it's an incredible album. I do think it's impeccable, but it also came to me at that time I alluded to when I was becoming like fed up with the way hip hop in general was. And Lupe was such a swing to the other side of that, where he not only had really intelligent lyrics and good production, but he also just talked about a lot of things. Like, he was the first time that I had to like look up what he was talking about, you know. He talks a lot of political stuff and a lot of very obscure things. I was like, man, what the hell is this? And he was like the first hip hop teacher that I ever had, you know. So that album has a lot of sentimental value to me because of that.
Yeah, I think we all like connect. At least, you know, the music lovers out there connect specific albums or specific songs to specific times in their lives. That's definitely true for me. Like the 5 I can name, like right immediately, these 5 will never be knocked off the list, are all connected to really important times in my life. And actually, most of them are connected to Dr. Dre, strangely.
Nice.
Full circle.
Yeah, you see.
Yeah. 4 of the 5 are Dre albums.
It's funny you guys say that because Devin and I you and I were talking yesterday. No, was it yesterday? I don't remember when I was driving, but it was just a long blur. But we were talking to like 2 a.m. in the morning, but I was telling you on that song Pearl, that one little sample that you did, like, I remember listening to it and I literally felt like I was thrown back in high school. And I swear to you, I could like smell the scent of whatever they use to clean the hallways. But I feel like smell and sound does that to you. Like, they're the only 2 things that will, in my opinion, transport you to another place. You know, and that was just a really happy time and a happy place in my life. And I was actually thinking about it later on after you and I got off the phone, but that was during, during the height of my indoor track and field season. So we were winning. So it was good. So I just remember doing that because we would walk down, we would hide boom boxes in our lockers. And these are like the old cheap Sony ones, not the full out like ghetto blasters, but the smaller one. And we would just like put the CDs in there or tapes, and we would still record tapes because the thing is you couldn't lay CD players sideways and let them play at that time. I remember. So we would still record mixtapes and just put the tape in there, and we would just open up the locker and hit play. And then when security came by, we would just turn it off and close the locker and go between class.
I've got a really great story about something like that. When I was in high school, I must have been a senior, and I got a car, this VW Beetle, that was rainbow colored. It was like red, then a gold stripe, blue stripe, green stripe, and then the back was metallic gold.
Oh, wow.
And
holy shit.
And I put 4 15s in the back of it. Took the back seat out.
How did you? Okay.
In a Beetle?
Yeah.
You were are you sure you're
Did
not
you replace the back tires?
And then two amps driving the 4 speakers, and they had just passed a noise ordinance law in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And it was like a $500 ticket or something if you got caught with your stereo up over a certain decibel level. And all the cops were like carrying little decibel meters so they could check kids with their music. And I attached a Walkman to my amps because I didn't have a stereo in the car at all. So I just attached a Walkman, and I would get pulled over, and this probably happened 25 or 30 times. I get pulled over, I'd unplug the Walkman, slide it under my seat, and the cop would come up to the car like, your radio was awfully loud. And I was like, I don't even have a radio. And he'd look at my dashboard and be like, what? Well, then who was that? What's all this stuff? And I'm like, oh, this is my friend's stuff. I'm just taking it to his house. But I don't have a radio, so that wasn't me.
Hell no.
That is
Chris was slick with it.
that is, I'm not gonna lie, that is some solid white boy negotiation skills.
Dude, that's Chip. That's what Dave Chappelle talks about, Chip, you know, when they're like in the car. Like, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I remember.
That's so dope.
I remember being at a stoplight, and this dude in a BMW had pulled up next to me, and he had his system up all loud, and he's looking over at me like bobbing his head, me and my little weird rainbow painted Beetle. And I held up my Walkman tape deck, press play, and he couldn't hear himself anymore.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great. Oh, I'd never had that growing up. The closest I ever put was like 2 10s in the back of my car. But my dad bought me a car. My first car was a 1984 Crown Victoria LTD.
Nice.
So love that car to this day. I still love that car. My mom was like, you are going to buy one of those things again. But I remember having 2 10s in the back, a little amp just running it. And it was never crazy loud just because it wasn't my jam. But we called it the body trunk. And what we would do as real dumb, people would crawl in my trunk, as many people as possible. They would close the hood and then they would play the music. Why? I don't know why people wanted to do it. It was never my idea. But then people come out and just like head rattling. But it reminds, but that was, I don't know. I don't think you can even do that anymore. Back in the day, we used to line our cars all up in like in a semicircle and play music, and we'd all tune into the same radio station and just play it really loud. But I don't think you can do that.
Cool.
I don't think you can do that in high school parking lots anymore.
Yeah, probably
Maybe
not.
Damn, man, y'all are making me jealous. I definitely did not have any experience like that growing up. I mean, my first car was a 92 Volkswagen, but it was a Jetta, and I had some little bitty speakers in there. I always wanted, and I still do really want to outfit, you know, my Jeep or something with some big ass, like some 15s or like some huge speakers. That's always been something I've kind of wanted. And, you know, I kind of think about it the way that I think about, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I've always felt, I mean, Mario knows this because we've talked about it, but I struggle a lot with my racial identity. And some things I don't do because I don't think I'm black enough to do them. But then some things I don't do because I don't want to fit the stereotype. Like, I'll give you a really perfect example. Yesterday, I bought myself some gold teeth, and I'm so hyped to wear them. And I never bought them before. Always wanted them ever since I was a kid. And for like 15 years, I was like, I don't think I'm black enough to have gold teeth. Like, I shouldn't buy those. And now, like, these last 5 years, I'm like, well, I don't want all these white people I'm surrounded by to see me fit into the stereotype of a black dude with gold teeth. But fuck it. I don't know. Maybe because I've been locked in the house since March, but I'm like, I'm going to shine on these haters, you know? Let me get my gold teeth. My next climbing album is I was going to be me cheesing and yeah, 10 karat gold. That shit's expensive, but it's going to be worth it.
This is going to be
I love
amazing. Make sure you don't mumble to the whole thing. That's the only thing with gold teeth. I've heard people rapping and I'm always just like, are your teeth falling out? And is that why it sounds screwed?
Can you mumble rap?
Ooh, that's.
Can I mumble rap?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I certainly can. I mean, you know, Chris, because you've listened to my climbing music. I'm pretty good at imitating people.
Yeah, you're really good at it.
So if I really wanted to, I could. And me and my best friend, we grew up rapping and making music together. we would always have this running joke that was like semi-serious. Like, man, one day we should just say fuck it and just make some dumbass mumble rap music and just make millions of dollars. You know, like, cause we both, like, we're just like, we both are very artistic and we want to make, we've always wanted to make music that was cool, that we like, that just, you know, and if other people like it, that's great too. But it's tempting because sometimes you just want to be like, I mean, I just want to make some money. You know, it'd be way easy to just throw together, you know, a beat at 120 beats per minute, throw some hi-hats on it, you know, fit the auto tune on, drink a little bit so I flare, and then I'd be good.
I mean, so what's stopping you from making $1 million and buying your house at the Red?
This weird sense of pride.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead as the only other black man in this conversation right now. You need to let that shit go. Like, seriously, let that shit go. I mean, but no, I get it. You kind of want to, at that point, I think it's one of those weird things where, especially black and brown, you're like, okay, I have a standards that I want to live at. I want to have a standards I want people to see me at. But at the same time, I would like to make enough money where I say, fuck all y'all. And I don't have to believe about that standards and I could just be long gone. And I don't think I would care anymore. I mean, I'm like, you know, just kind of putting it out there. And I think there are plenty of people who have done that. But I get your dilemma, but I'm also trying to tell you, like, you know, you should just shine on people, as you're saying.
Yeah, I think you're right.
You might have to. You might have to
mm-hmm.
get some like temporary face tats or something to be able to make a successful mumble rap album.
That's the thing. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't want to mess with codeine. You know, maybe I'll just like have some grape Kool-Aid and I'll say that it's lean.
Dude,
you know,
dude, just some dry erase, wet erase markers. We got you.
Yeah, I can't do it. My mouth just doesn't even move in the right ways to be able to mumble rap. I cannot.
I mean, you just have to pretend like you've done years of psychedelic drugs and like, and I don't even really, I can't really verbalize what you have to do, but like, you know, it's like a headspace. At least this is me coming from a place of imitating it. It's a headspace you get into. But yeah, I think about that a lot, Mario. Honestly, so like my roommates in Oregon that I live with, they would always tell me all the time that basically what you just told me is like just make a song. Like it doesn't matter. Like because I would always tell them like I don't want to muddy up the art of hip hop. You know, like I came from an era. Or I grew up in an era of hip hop. I feel like that was the waning bit of like, it meant something to be talented, you know?
Yeah.
And if you were going to be a rapper, it wasn't just because you wanted to make money. And that's the other thing too, is like, if I'm going to be a rapper, I want it to be for a reason, you know? Like I want it to be because I have something to say, not just because I want to make some money. Yeah. So that's why I go back and forth with it. But sometimes they also would say this too, is like you would have a lot more time to make the stuff you want if you just did Shake That Laffy Taffy or whatever the kids listen to these days. I don't know.
Whatever the kids listen to these days. One time, I know. I say that, but I know I'm not like old, but you know what I mean? I feel kind of out of touch. Yeah, I'm like, says the kid.
I feel disillusioned with it. Well, and that's not true either, because recently I've been a little bit more like I like modern hip hop, and I just kind of accepted that, you know, music is going to change. Because I definitely used to be one of those like, oh, I'll only listen to like, you know, Wu-Tang or Kanye or Lupe, and then all the new stuff is trash. But really, all of it is. It's like it's the same as it was 20 years ago. Like half of it is trash and half of it's not.
Yeah,
you know, it's always going to be that way.
Yeah, it's just gotten harder to wade through, at least for me. Like there's a technological barrier for me because I don't listen to music a lot on Spotify, or you know, I don't even know the terms to use because I don't know how people find music these days. My wife is always like, she'll put on a playlist and it'll be some boom bap shit that I've never heard, and I'm like, where are you finding this? I've never heard this. It sounds like my era of music. Where did you find it? And she'll tell me, and I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know how to find music anymore.
Devin, do you
You're like
Devin, I know for me, I always find that the only way I'm relevant on music is because I coach kids. The kids keep me up to date with everything. And
when I had a teenage daughter, I could stay up on it. But now that she's
gone
on her own, I don't
you just
get
have to like walk into schools and be like, hey, can you guys hook me up? Let me know what's going on.
That's what I need to do. Listen to the teenagers.
They'll let you do that in Lander, probably.
None of the Lander kids have ever even heard of hip hop.
There's got to be that one white kid. And there's got to be that one white kid.
Oh, you
who's
know,
like
there
listening
is.
to like still listening to Biggie's album.
There's a couple rappers in Lander actually. It's pretty
really?
cool. One native dude who's or native person, I should say, who's really talented.
Been around a while, or are these new people?
Their name is Big Wind River, and I can't think of the name of their mixtape. It might just be Water, something about water, but actually really brilliant. They led the protests in Lander after the George Floyd, and when the movement started picking up steam, and that's kind of where I got hip to their music, which made me really happy to see that it was out there. And there's also a couple of white kids I know of who rap in Lander, so it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, hell, if there's rappers that come out of Portland, I feel like rappers can come from anywhere. Honestly,
that's
right. Y'all know, you guys know Amine. He's a newer rapper. He's out of Portland.
I don't.
He's gosh, what are some songs that he has?
If he wasn't in the Source pre 2005, then I don't know about it, Devin.
Oh my God, he was on. I mean, he was on he did a song on the Spider-Man soundtrack too. That was the Who's Who. That's the new Source, like the recent Spider-Man movie I feel like it had all the new rappers. It had him, it had Juice WRLD and Ski Mask, and all the new rappers were in a Post Malone, I mean, Post Malone's not new, but you know what I mean? Like they're the new school.
Post Malone is probably the newest rapper I know of.
Yeah. I mean, you're not totally lost.
Yeah, but he's the only one. Before him, it's probably Action Bronson.
Do people these days even know who Action Bronson?
I have this like confused face, so I don't think I know who this is.
He's not new. He's been around a while.
He's not new. Gosh, he's been around since like 2000. I almost want to say like 2010, 2011.
That's probably about right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny. He actually has a show now.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is with rappers and cooking, but he has a cooking show.
Yeah, he was a chef before he was a rapper.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, so that would make sense. But yeah, I was like, what is it with rappers nowadays and cooking?
Yeah, I mean hell, like Snoop did it with Martha Stewart, so I mean that did set the precedent.
It's true.
And 2 Chainz, I think, has a cooking book.
Really?
Which I still need. I think he does. I'm like 60%
what is it called?
Sure
Microwave Recipes for One?
That's amazing.
Savage.
I'm sorry.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't think there's 2 Chainz has had his fair share, but I've never been a fan of much of his music. So
I'm not mad at the hustle though.
I appreciate 2 Chainz for what he is. Like, I think that, and that's the other thing that I realized, which kind of makes me appreciate modern rap more, is that I feel like for a long time I was judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree. Like you can't judge 2 Chainz by his ability to weave together literary devices and tell a complex tale of human emotion, but you can judge him by his like really like almost joking, corny punchlines. They're like corny on purpose. Like when he's like, even on that Chance song, No Problem, when he's like, I'm so high, me and God dapping. Like, it's just like, it's not supposed to be deep. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I think this is pretty funny. But yeah, like, I can appreciate him for what he is, but he's not like, it's like rap. I mean, it really is like rap candy, like bubble gum. Like, I'm not going to get any sustenance out of it, but it tastes good. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, I think that's valuable to recognize, and I think you kind of have to do that in all areas of your life. There are going to be things that just have more depth and more substance, and there are going to be things that are really just there for you to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in high school, it was like the low end theory came out, I think, when I was a sophomore in high school, and Doggy Style came out when I was a senior. Can you hear that?
That's my car. My bad.
Okay, no worries. And then The Chronic came out when I was a junior, so it was like just this amazing few years of music that was super enjoyable and had a lot of substance. But then, that disappeared for a long time in hip hop. But at the time I was going to the clubs a lot. So I'm like, I will absolutely dance to this. Like, I'm not going to bump it in my car. I'm not going to listen to it in headphones, but I will come to the club and dance to it every night that I can.
Man. Yeah.
So.
I think that's like a perfect illustration of it, is like, and that's the other thing too, is I think like the way we listen to music and like the reasons we listen to it have changed. So like, I mean, it only makes sense that the music would change too with it. And, maybe our reasons for listening to music haven't changed, but the world's have.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And I don't need club music anymore. Like, I'm not going to the clubs, so.
Yeah.
I don't need it anymore.
Exactly.
But I still do need music with substance. So that's what I try to continue listening to.
And I still need music to wake up all my white neighbors on Saturdays when I go on that drive. It's one of my favorite things. White people, I'm sorry, but I love turning my music up super loud and rolling through white neighborhoods. I don't know what it is. It's almost like a reverse, like you. I don't know. It's like a reflex. I can't help it.
Well,
I'll just like. What'd you say?
No, I was about to say it's kind of like my same reason why I like to collect Ku Klux Klan and racist paraphernalia. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be doing this shit, and I'm not even supposed to be in your neighborhood. Fuck all y'all.
Hello, and I hope you have been enjoying this episode as much as I have been reliving this moment. Kris and Devin are just amazing people. And another set of amazing people I want to introduce you to is the people at beyondclothing.com. Beyond Clothing has been my sponsor for over 5 years. They have supported me since the very beginning of me venturing out into this adventurous world, trying to travel, climb, and do things. Their clothing has kept me warm, dry, helped me perform in every situation possible. And I want to share that with you. Go to beyondclothing.com, spend a little money, save a little coin, support this podcast. Paul, Rick, Natalie, everybody in the office, they're friends and family of mine, and they will take care of you as you were me. So take a moment, gear yourself up for anywhere you want to go in this big, beautiful globe that we live in. I am so excited to introduce our newest partner in Sends and Suffers podcast, Organic Climbing. They make crash pads, chalk buckets, chalk bags. If you've been in the climbing game for a little while, you know who these people are. And I am so excited that they are getting behind this podcast to share real, genuine stories of the souls that exist within our beautiful, adventurous community. So Organic, thank you so much. So what does this mean? Sticker Club members, We've got some sweet, sweet, sweet gear coming up in the upcoming raffles. So make sure you stay tuned. And guys, you need to remember that Tension Climbing is supporting Sends and Suffers podcast. They are the premier people to get all your training equipment from. If you are trying to send your route, if you're trying to get your proj, trying to warm up at the crag, you need to go to tensionclimbing.com. This is the one-stop shop between organic, Beyond Clothing, and Tension Climbing. You need no more. Maybe some rock climbing shoes, but I'm going to let you guys figure that out on your own. All right, so let's get back to this episode. Thank you for listening. And remember, if you're not a member of the Sticker Club, we're waiting for you to join the fam.
Wait, you for real do that?
Oh yeah, I have a Ku Klux Klan handbook. I have a patch. I have like a bunch of stuff, a couple letterheads. It's yeah.
Oh no!
Everyone's always like, "Aren't you ashamed of having this?" I'm like, "No, this is like, you know,
why
like,
would you be ashamed?"
I'm like, it's like, you know, I figured out all the secrets to the Masons. Now I'm just keeping them to myself.
That's so interesting. I would never think like you should be ashamed of collecting. You didn't start the Ku Klux Klan. You know, I would just think I wouldn't want that stuff in my house. It's almost like a
it's definitely on my wall.
Thing. I don't know.
It's definitely on my wall when you walk into
you got it like
house.
above the fireplace, right next to a college dropout.
I should put that right next to it. That'd be awesome. Yeah, Audra all the time is just like, you know, we should probably move this to somewhere more discreet. And I'm like, they weren't discreet for how many years, so I don't got to be. Absolutely no. Like, it's also an interesting conversation starter because I love it when people come over, they'll just be like, they'll look at it and you'll see they get so uncomfortable and they can't decide whether they actually want to bring it up that it's there or they just want to pretend that it doesn't exist. And if I know they're super uncomfortable and it doesn't exist, I kind of just like, what do you think of all of our art on the wall? And my wife is looking at me like, I swear to God, I cannot take you anywhere.
Wow.
Oh, Jesus.
But I love it.
Well, like on that note too, I will say that messing with people, with white people is probably one of my favorite things. And it's really bad. It's a bad vice, I know. But I can think of one time when I was in high school, we had to do this presentation in our humanities class where we all had to bring a product that was at the World's Fair. And me and my partner, we chose to do Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben. And we were both black. And we both dressed like the characters. And I can't even remember what I said, but I swear I was telling them the story of Uncle Ben or whatever. And I said some sort of race joke or something like that. And like something they'd be uncomfortable laughing at. And I don't remember how, but I got them to laugh at it. And then when they all started laughing, I was like, it's not funny. Like with a straight face. And they all, even the teacher, they were like, oh shit. And they just like, they clammed up so quick. And I just bust out laughing. Like, you guys chill out. They just choked.
Oh my God.
It's so terrible. I'm sure that all of my white friends and anyone who is listening to this probably hates me right now. But it's in the past, you know. I can't change it now, but I could still laugh at it.
No, my with fucking with white people is still very much in my future to come. So I'm gonna call that now.
So great.
But like, I do want to give this. Go ahead.
No. I just saying. I think it's great. Go ahead.
No, I do want to give the caveat of like, this is also people who can't take a joke. And I think that's like, I want to be very clear about that too. It's not like just messing with you because you're white. That's an asshole move. But but like, it's just like, I don't like it. I think you and I have like talked about this. Like, you got to loosen up. And like, if you can't just take a joke or you can't diffuse a really uncomfortable situation with humor, then like, what are we doing? Like, this is getting like really awkward and this is getting real tense. And it's just messing with people who are unwilling to take a joke in any way, shape, or form. And even if they don't know it's a joke, the fact of the matter that when like, and I don't know, this is what I've always thought that they thought is like, when they finally get the joke, they feel like they're in on an inside secret and really out in real reality. Now this is just the way shit is. But I don't know. That's how I look at it. So like, I want to be very clear. Like, if I'm messing with you, it's because I love you.
Well, I'll say as the white person in the room, I'll say sometimes we're just stupid and we just don't know any better. When I was in like 4th grade or something, I had this friend named Shimei Harris, and she was light-skinned Black woman. And I was like genuinely trying to understand things about her. And I'm a 4th grader. And I asked her, do you get tan? What happens in the sun? And she told me she gets lighter in the sun. And I believed that until I was about 25.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, wow.
I wish I had the hindsight when I was growing up to do stuff like that.
I can't remember the stuff I said. I know I said some oddball stuff, but I cannot remember. Oh, man.
It's and it's good to hear, Kris, that you can appreciate that, because I think that, like, I hope that when people see, like, what me and Mario are trying to say is that we're trying to break down barriers, you know, like,
Absolutely.
I feel like I try to use humor to disarm people, and especially with serious topics. And I feel like a lot of white people that I run into that can't take those kind of jokes don't really understand that, like, there's a power difference, you know, like if I'm making a joke about race versus them, it's not quite the same. Like I can give you an example that's happened to me personally in the last like 2 weeks. I remember I did like one of my posts and I put the hashtag white people on it, you know, spelling it like the phonetic. Mario knows what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you spell it. So I put that on there. And I was talking about like that, and I said something about the N-word, but they were mutually exclusive thoughts. I just said white people, like, jokingly. And I remember someone commented on it saying, like, how can you, like, talk about equality when you use the N-word and you, like, you insult white people by saying white people? And I'm like, okay, well, firstly, I don't know if you've heard this before, but white people and the N-word are not nearly the same level of gravity.
Right.
Like one of them has history that goes back forever, and one of them I think just got invented like 10 years ago. And secondly, like, if you really feel that, like, how could you possibly feel that hurt about white people? It doesn't oppress you. You can't, like, you could just like log off the internet and the pain will go away almost immediately.
Right.
You know?
You can opt out.
But like, you can choose to be like, I'm not going to listen to that. But like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying this in the smartest way, but I just feel like that's something that I run into a lot or have in the past with white people, is that they think that Black people making jokes about race and white people making jokes about race are equitable. And
right.
It's not because of the power difference, right?
Yeah, there's not a
what do you guys think of that?
I agree with you entirely. There's not a whole system and structure behind the insidiousness of, or let me rephrase that. There's not an insidious system and structure behind the hashtag white people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There is a long history, a long insidious system and structure behind the use of the N-word. So not even sort of close to the same thing.
Yeah. And no, I definitely agree with both of you. And I think to kind of like piggyback on what you're talking about, like when we're making these jokes, and I think this is sometimes a weird, and Devin, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but I've definitely like made some racial jokes, but then I have those one white friends that I know that are around me that are like, I mean, they are my blood brother. Like I've known them so long. These are my comrades in arms, and they'll make the joke. And then I there have to explain to another person that like I've given this person permission in my life. This person is close enough to be able to say that. But then I've had people get on me. They're like, well, you know, if I can't say it, what is it? If I can't say it, you know, then you really shouldn't allow him to say it. And the best way I've ever said it is I'm like, you know, I was like, do you have a nickname for your girlfriend? And people were like, yeah. I'm like, what is it? And let's just say it's Sugar Baby. What if I just walked up and started calling her that? And he's like, that's inappropriate. Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't know her like that. I was like, point being. And I think the thing is, you know, and I think that's where people I think that's the thing is people immediately jump to get offended. And what they're not realizing is like, there is a certain level of trust and relationship that is built between two people having this conversation. And if I don't have that relationship with you and I am joking with you, this is actually an olive branch because I cannot have you cannot joke around in that way, because if there was other Black people around and you joked around that, they beat the shit out of you. And then vice versa. If I say some wild ass shit to you, and I'm in Starbucks, I'm going to get arrested, so like, that's just how that shit goes. And so like, but like, that's just, and you're right. Like there's a power struggle, but like, let's just like lay it out there. I don't think people understand that like this humor is a way to diffuse the situation because, I think I've said this to you before and I've said this in other podcasts but all racist white people that live in the middle of nowhere love the funny Eddie Murphy Black guy. They want they want Eddie Murphy, leather pants and jacket, and they want Coming to America, and that's what they want, And the problem is like I think we, and I'll say this, we as in Black men associating with like he, him, and Black and male. If you don't know the person, I know for me, that is the only go-to defense that we can have to like break down this quick barrier. If I'm not trying to break the barrier, and especially if we're in a situation like that, like in the middle of nowhere, I'm not trying to break the barrier down to be your friend. I'm just trying to break the barrier down enough so you don't think I'm a threat. So when I start running my ass to get out of there quickly and packing my shit up, it's not something like weird. It's just like, oh, okay, he's just kind of moving on. And, ultimately, depending on the situation, I've definitely had to make the jokes where the jokes are towards me and Black people and giving them power in their own mind. And what they realize, what they don't realize is, I'm just like, mind fucking them. Part of my French here, but there's no other way to say it. And I think that like what people don't understand is like, these are learned behaviors. These are learned coping defense mechanism. Because if there was another way to have this conversation, we would be doing that too. We would be doing that on top of what we're doing. But in my experience, I don't know any other way to break this conversation down unless a white person comes up to me and is like, hey, I want to have some real talk with you. I want to be uncomfortable. I want to do that. And I'm like, okay, then let's go into it. But like that shit doesn't happen.
Right.
Like, I mean, it does now more than ever. But in reality of the situation, like it just it doesn't happen. Like no one wants to willingly get uncomfortable just to answer their own question, unless they're having I guess like a crisis of faith or a crisis of reality.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people are right now.
Yeah, and the thing that happened to you, Devin, with somebody commenting on your post, how can you say this and then do this? Well, because you're human, frankly, not a single one of us is perfect. And, I got a lot of the same sort of pushback from the Daniel Woods episode. People like, well, how can you say this, but you made these songs way back when that, use the word bitch or the word hoe or whatever. And I'm like, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm just pointing this out. I'll be happy to point that out too and talk about it and, discuss the thing, but none of us are perfect. We're going to all make mistakes. That doesn't mean we shouldn't call it out when the whole world is making a giant mistake.
Yeah. That's because people want to be reactionary. That's because people want to be able to like explode against things. Because I mean, if you look at people's response to things like YouTube's, like different things, like I don't know if you guys have ever heard, but like there is this mixed set of twins. I think they're called the conservative twins on YouTube. And one of my best friends, he was like, hey man, I want to know what you think about these two. And these two conservative mixed twins, they are, all for T45. They're supporting him. They support all things super conservative, and like the big thing with this is like, I was like, dude, like these guys have over 2.3 million followers. This is a job for them. Their job is to get people to be reactionary. Their job is to get people to explode. And the problem is because so many people with news and everything like that, like they make their living off of that. That's what bumps their metrics.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just like how people are responding. Cause once again, learned behavior. That's what the other half has been learning. Like you have to respond kind of like you, or maybe not you have, but you get the right to respond very explosively, very rash. You get the right to challenge the situation right there. You have that right because you are you.
Right.
And that's not the truth.
Right. And yeah, I also think a lot of it too, like, first of all, I think, just like thinking about as a musician, Kris, that, we have the gift and the curse of a living journal that everyone gets to see, you know, so people get to see how we were 10 or 15 years ago, so they can call out. But I'm sure that everybody on earth has some memories or ideas that they had when they were 15 years younger that they wouldn't want out. But because we choose to put our stuff out there, everyone can see those things, you know, to some degree. And I used to think it was a bad thing, but now I think it's a good thing because you can see my journey, you know, like Jay-Z, you can see his journey from you think that him and Beyonce are listening to Big Pimpin' together, and he's like, yeah, like I don't need these hoes, you know, like, do you think that that's what's happening? Probably not, you know?
Not,
so he's grown clearly. And the other thing is, like, I think people that do that will point to somebody like you and say, like, well, you've made mistakes, is because they don't know how else to engage in the conversation. Like, they're too scared. They're too scared to put themselves out there, and they're too scared to be rejected. And especially when it comes to race, I think there's a good portion of white people that want to do something, but feel like they can't for whatever reason. And the only thing they know they can do is virtue signal by pointing at somebody else. So that's their way of feeling like, I helped racism by canceling another white person. Good job. Or not Devin, it's not me, but you know what I mean? Good job, me, for pointing out someone else's flaws instead of confronting my own. That's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. And, you know, hip hop, you know, you brought up this idea of our music being out there for forever. Hip hop's got its own like messes, you know, it's extremely misogynistic and homophobic. And, you know, it's got this history, you know, and I was definitely a part of that history. You know, I've used some words I certainly wouldn't use now, homophobic words, even though I didn't feel like I was a homophobic person. I was still playing right into that trap of promoting homophobia, you know? And I'm not going to blame hip hop for that. That was my fault. I made the choice, and now I can make the choice to do something different. And, my friend Brittany, who you've talked to a little bit, Devin, she's going to come out to Lander, and I'm going to like force her to listen to all my old music. And then we're just going to go through it and talk about all of the problems, like all the things I said about women, the things if I used homophobic words, all of the issues. I want to have those conversations, you know, and I don't want to do it for anybody else's benefit other than maybe those people can learn that we're all going to make mistakes, and figuring out how to turn that around and do something different is the better way, not just pointing out every mistake you see.
I love that. Sorry, go ahead, Mario.
I have a question for both of you too, though. So you guys point up a good point, and like I'm just a consumer of hip hop. I don't follow it as much as I probably should. But do you feel like the state of hip hop is actually shifting to be less homophobic, less all these things, or is like, nah? I mean, it still is what it is.
It certainly has over a lot of years, and I mean, it's in a better place now than it ever has been, for sure. Both with, I would say, more with homophobia than with being misogynistic. I mean, it's definitely made strides in being misogynistic, but it still is extremely
misogynistic. Yeah, very much so.
So
yeah, I would agree with that. I think that hip hop has gotten to a place where it's more okay to talk about your feelings, and that I think started with like the Kanye Cudi era, really, where people really started talking about how they feel on records. And also, I don't know if people think that like there's more and more rappers that are coming out as different sexual orientations, but hip hop has always played with gender identity to a point. Kris definitely, actually, you both would definitely remember, like, y'all remember when Busta Rhymes would show up to like the like award shows and stuff, and he was dressed like, he had these crazy ass dresses, and like there's even some groups back in the 80s, I can't remember, but hip hop's always played with gender identity. They just never, I think in general, the idea of a rapper has always been a masculine, tough person, but at the same time, they're willing to like put on dresses and bright colors and be flamboyant. I don't know. It's a really weird juxtaposition, but in my opinion, I think hip hop always played around with the idea of masculinity. It's just that they weren't willing to admit it until, like 15 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. And then there's also the issue of the female MCs who become popular, who make it, so to speak, end up being the like hypersexualized MCs. And why is that? Why do we reward that over the Lauryn Hills or the Rhapsodies? And obviously Lauryn, her achievements are massive. But why wasn't there a second Lauryn Hill? It's not because there aren't female MCs, because there are. But somewhere along the line, whoever's in charge made the decision that we are going to reward the hypersexualized women over the Rhapsodies or, the other.
But the same thing happens. That same thing happens in climbing, because it's like they reward the hypersexualized, but because they want, in my opinion, they just like they want women they want to be able to dictate the success level, and they want to be able to dictate the path of that. And whether they realize it or not, that's why they put women into this box. The same thing happens with climbing. Like, most people expect the girl who's belaying you is to be who's just going to clean your route, or who's going to shift around your pad. And climbing is the same way to a certain extent, because, we just have these immediate gender roles or these gender stereotypes that we put people in. But it's, it's, I don't know. From the perspective of rap, like from a corporate structure, to me, thinking about it from climbing, it's just, it allows people to stay, it allows the people at the top to stay safe. It allows the people at the top to kind of dictate what's going to happen, what's going to move as far as music. And in the world of climbing, I don't know. I mean, I think it's definitely changing, and climbing's more open to it. But, the thing that, like, when you said that, the very first thing that came to me is that old climbing brand, which I'm guilty of, because I've definitely bought it for a girl before, but is Verb. That old brand that was
Christian
super
Griffith's
sexualized
company. Yeah.
Super sexualized. And it was just like, I've heard stories about that whole thing. I don't even want to go there, but, and that's just like, I don't know. To me, it's just like, it's always, they've always been like, you can think, but you're still a little bit of property. You're allowed to think, but you're still a little bit of property. And I want to let you think just enough. I'm going to give you these 5 options, but what you don't see with the rest of the lights off in the room is these 5 options are actually 1 out of 25 that you can have, but I just don't want you to see the other ones. And so that's how I look at it. I mean, I don't know. You both have heard me say this before, but women get the worst raw end of the deal when it comes to anything.
Black women, especially.
For sure.
And I think, I think you're so spot on. I mean, everyone always like laughs when I tell them that climbing and hip hop are very similar. but they really are. And I think one of the ways they're similar is how they treat women as assets, but not agents, which is basically what you just said. Like you're allowed to express yourself in this way using these options. And that's kind of it. Like, we don't really want you to, and your idea of femininity is based on our masculine idea of femininity, you know, and I think that's true in both cultures. I think, you know, like, like it's tough too, because you don't want to say, like, I'm thinking of hip hop specifically. You don't want to say that like Nicki Minaj is hypersexualized because she feels like she has to be, because maybe she wants to be.
Right.
You know, like maybe that's her choice. Because I know like Lil Kim is probably, I don't know if she's the first, but she's the first female rapper I can think of that was overtly hypersexual with her lyrics. Like, she chose to write that way. And that's kind of what got her to catch on, is like people are like, oh man, she's like, they had never heard a female rapper before that was like nasty like that. So that's what got her going, and that's how she wanted to be.
She's,
you know,
the
so
one I remember.
because it's like, well, yeah, like I think I don't know if she started it. It's tough to say, but I feel like she did. And you know, like it's like you want to honor everybody's choice, but you can't help but wonder like how different the hip hop and climbing landscape would be if we rewarded different types of people with different types of behaviors and dresses and outlooks and thoughts, you know? I wonder about that all the time.
Yeah. And when the system is built differently, we have no idea what's going to happen. You know, we can theorize and we can try to unpack it all and figure it out. But ultimately, what comes before helps dictate our choices in the future until we really make a conscious decision to think about it deeper and make different decisions. So, you know, maybe Lil Kim chose that because she thought that was the way. Maybe she chose it because she really wanted to. Same with Nicki, you know, who knows? It's hard to say, but so many of us get trapped into thinking we're doing things of our own free will, when in reality, the situation around us dictated that this thing's going to happen. I mean, it's how algorithms work, right? Like they can predict what we're going to do, even though we think we're exercising our free will.
Kris, I think when you say it that way, it makes me think back to what I told you guys earlier about the gold teeth, how I struggled back and forth. And I think it was because I was trying to figure out if I was on an algorithm or not. Like, am I just buying these gold teeth because it's a stereotype I'm buying into, or am I not buying them because I don't want to fit the stereotype, even though it's something I really want? That's something like I struggle with that a lot, just as a Black person. So I think everybody has their struggles as whoever they are, of like, am I doing this because, I mean, if you think about it, maybe some people don't think about it.
No, I think you're right. I think most Black people especially if you're used to operating in white spaces, if you are an African American that is used to code switching for one of three reasons, your job, your safety, or just this is the way you have to navigate spaces, like you don't get the option, then I think all of us do struggle with that, because I definitely think, I'm like, oh, this shit is tight. And then I look at it, and then one of my friends look at it and like, it's not that cool. And I'm like, well, how do you not think this cool? And I'm like, I guess white people would never really wear this or touch this. So I guess I could see how, like, all right. I mean, okay.
Oh, man.
You know, and generally I'm like, screw it, I'm going to do it anyway. But you know, I've definitely had conversations like that before with, I would say more of like purchases and things that I choose to buy. I mean, I'll actually never forget it. Like, I kind of quote unquote dress more Black one day at work, and I got so many people walk up to me. They're like, man, I've never seen you wear clothes like this. I mean, you look really good, but like where, like, why would you wear this? Like, well, are you doing something different today? I'm like, nah, I'm just here for work. They're like, you know, where do you get this clothes? I'm like, from my closet that I've had for the last 10 to 15 years. And they're like, oh, this was like old you. I'm like, no, this is still me today. Like I'm
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm just here. It's just like normally you guys see me in a polo and some cargo shorts, and you're just like, okay, Coach Mario's here to do the job today. I'm technically off work. So, I can wear whatever I want to wear. And I forget what it was. I want to say it was a t-shirt from a concert that I went to a long time ago. It really bugs me now. Now I want to know. But regardless, or prime example, if I wear wearing a Wu-Tang shirt or wearing anything like that, like people just immediately do it. No, granted, I don't personally give a shit because I just make fun of the whole situation anyway, but I understand definitely how that does bother some people. And I definitely do. Yeah. But I do find it funny. It's just the irony of the situation that happens. Cause I would just and then I ask myself in that same situation, I'm like, well, if this dude just walked in with classic 90s Jinkos, and Jinkos, and whatever else goes along with that with some Vans or Doc Martens, and I'd never seen this employee wearing this clothes before, would I say the same thing? And generally me, I don't really care, but I do try to play devil's advocate and go back and forth. But it is something that I think is funny that, I don't know, but I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but yeah, I feel you. And I definitely have had that same question with multiple purchases. Yeah.
I mean, the age old question of fish or chicken, right? Like maybe I do want chicken,
every day.
What? See,
dude, that's cool.
Are you doing that to avoid the algorithm?
Nah, man, fuck that algorithm. Seafood's good. That's all me.
It is good, but if I had a choice, I'm gonna have that chicken.
No, you telling me like quality grilled, slow cooked, chicken
fine.
With some good solid corn. I'll even make it cream. No, don't do cream corn. We'll make corn nuggets for you. There you go. You can get all that with, we're going to go full black here and give you some okra and anything else that you want with it. You're telling me you would say no.
I mean, but definitely wouldn't say no. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I mean, plus you're in Portland. You're in Portland. You have, well, not now, but you have access to amazing seafood. So I don't ever want to hear you say that again.
I do. Yeah. I've been eating a lot more sushi out there. Yeah. It's not like I'm going to go down to Roscoe's at Portland, like, yeah, it's a different, you got to play the field.
Yeah. My God.
Kris is probably just listening to us.
I live in Wyoming, so I don't touch the seafood.
That's fair.
What do they eat in Wyoming?
Burgers. That's burgers and steaks.
I mean,
it's beef country.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
But if I'm in a town anywhere near water, I'm with Mario on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Best seafood ever had in my life was when I went to go climbing in Spain, and there was a competition going on, not at Sharma's gym, but in a city near there, and they had lost my luggage, so I had to go here to get it. But there was this like little, I mean, if you go to a third world country or anywhere, it's this little teeny shack, and this guy was like trying to sell me the food, and I remember looking over the counter, and all I saw was a cooler with ice and a bunch of fishing rods in it. And I like parked down at that point and I began to eat because everything was sold by the kilogram.
Man.
Yeah, I think ultimately what it kind of all comes down to, and maybe fish or chicken is the best way to put it, because I think we do have to just ask ourselves the deeper questions. And we all three of us like fish and we like chicken, but why? Why am I eating that now? What is it that I want to get from that now? And what are the deeper implications to my answer?
Can I go ahead and say only Dr. Dre of rock climbing could philosophize the fish or chicken? Because now you have me thinking about, well, holy
now
shit.
You want the chicken, don't you?
No, I'm like, wait a minute, what sides come with what? Do I get? Do these sides give me this privilege?
It's not a simple question. I almost answer reflexively just because I know it's not a simple question. I can't believe we're philosophizing over this. This cracks me up. Is philosophize a word? Can y'all clarify that for me?
It is today.
It is for me, for sure.
Okay. I say it all the time, but I don't know. I mean,
it's a thing.
Okay.
You know what? This whole food conversation, the fish or chicken, reminded me of another time a black friend of mine messed with me. Same way that you did, that you were talking about earlier. His name, he was a rapper. His name was Cuddy B Spooky. And we were going to do some records together, and we met at this barbecue restaurant, and I got a bunch of pork. And he stood there with me. I ordered all the stuff that I was eating. I bought his. We sit down at the table and he looks at it and he's like, "You really going to eat that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, but it's pork." And it was like silence. Like, am I offending him by eating pork right now? And then he's just like, "No, I'm just kidding. Can I have some of it?"
Did you? What did you think? What was going through your head when he did that?
I assumed it was like, a religious thing. It was, maybe, and I think he was into Islam in some degree, and that, he just didn't agree with eating pork. And I'm like, holy shit, I just offended him. Like, now he's pissed, and he's a, big dude, scowl on his face. And I'm just like, I don't know how to react right now. I don't know what to say.
He was jonesing the shit out of you.
Yeah. And he knew he was. And that was fine.
No.
Oh, that's great.
That's always going to be a vice of mine. It just makes me laugh in a way that nothing else can.
You know what I like about this moment? Like, you telling that story. And this is probably true for every story, but I feel like every black man immediately can put him in that situation. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, that was funny as shit.
Yeah. And should, I consider that part of my education. There's probably more of those moments if I really start thinking back to more of my hip hop friends, that they've, it's part of educating me on my own discomfort,
right?
Pointing it out to me in these interesting and nice. I don't even like the word nice, but in nice ways.
I mean, it is nice, but it also, like, kind of going back to the thing that we were talking about earlier, it also shows that, like, and once again, I'm gonna speak only for myself and Devin, any other black person listening to this, but, like, if we're willing to mess with you, we like you a lot. And I think going back to it, it's like, it's the only legit safety measure that we have that we can just use to mess with people. And I'm not saying we want to mess with you, but, like, as you said, it breaks down barriers. And I think like, hopefully if anyone's listening to this right now, what you've gathered from is like, we want to break down barriers. We want to have conversations with you. And you need to start listening to hip hop.
Oh, absolutely. Yes to all of that.
Let's make an EP. You wear your gold teeth and I'll get a pocket protector.
Yeah.
And we can both be stereotypes.
This is going to be amazing.
In Indiana, there's two towns. There's Brownsburg and there's Whitestown, and there's a sign. Like when you're going, I don't remember where it is, but there's like a one direction you can go is Brownsburg and the other one's Whitestown.
Oh, that's the cover.
And I've always wanted to do an album cover right there.
Yeah.
Just because I think that would just be, and just go all the way. Yeah. Like I didn't even think of it the way you did, but I was picturing, because it was with my old, one of the bands I used to play with. We were going to do an album cover in front of there. But yeah, like I think it'd be so funny to have like this the most that's the only way I can think to say it in front of it, just like me, like with my teeth and my glasses and like my old school, like Mario was talking about, my Timbos and my big jackets and stuff. And then you can have like your pocket protector and your I don't know what I don't know what else.
We got to do this because we should do this like does any album, well, I don't know, Devin, I might be aging you out of this one, but do you remember the old school back in the day, the Michael Jackson videos that would come on TV and you had to go to like Cheerios or granola, whatever, Coca-Cola, and you had to send in some coupons or you could mail them and you could get the 3D glasses mailed to you for that episode that was going to air.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
I do barely remember that.
I feel like you guys should create this album, create this EP, put it out there, and then do a YouTube live skit. But like people have a party pack that they can buy ahead of time, and you ship it off to them. And maybe at one scene it does have some 3D glasses, but realistically it's just like a bunch of those glow in the dark things that you can wear as necklaces. And then you have people just like send you a bunch of like memes or send you a bunch of people just dancing as your concert is going on. And that's it. But like they get a party pack.
That's interesting. I like that idea of like interactive, like art, because I think, I can't remember if I told you this or someone else, but I want music to be more of an experience, like one thing I love about like the height of Kanye's output was he started to do like artwork with his music,
Mm-hmm.
or like he would do like a fashion show with his music. Like I want to be able to like, and that's something that I'm trying to do with my climbing stuff. Cause Kris, that episode you put out, we called Show Up As You Are. And this essay I just wrote for the climbing zine for Luke is also called Show Up As You Are. So yeah, like I just want to be able to, at least my goal personally is to be able to have stuff all go together like that, where it's like it's like Will Smith, like Will Smith would be in the movie. He would write the music for the movie. He would like make the cereal for the movie. Like he would do everything. I want to do that, like I want to be able to hit all of the entertainment points.
Yeah. Well, I'll be your Jazzy Jeff.
Heck yeah.
I was about to say, I was like, I'll be as good Suge Knight, but then I realized I remember who Suge Knight was, and I was
I don't know if you want to be Suge
idea.
Knight. I don't want to be in this situation with Suge Knight.
He was a bad person. It was the first thing that popped in my mind, but I was like, all right, I digress.
I know what you're getting at, but I'm not trying to be on death row. Lord.
Oh man. Well, this conversation has been super fun, and I'm really happy that we could impromptu get you on the phone because this trifecta of conversation has been talked about a lot, and I cannot wait to actually get all three of us in a room and actually.
Absolutely.
I think
we might need 2 bottles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because your boy can drink, so we might need 2 bottles.
No, I was about to say, if you were drinking the stuff that we were drinking, that stuff went down like water. So.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. That sounds awesome. You're giving me a North Star to look forward to in
Nice.
2020. I can't wait for that, man.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for jumping in with us, and you have a wonderful day.
Yeah, man. Good to talk to you.
Thanks. Yeah, it was good to talk to you too. I'll be in touch with you both because I've got some. I think I told Mario this. I've got some ideas for my podcast idea, and I think me and my partner are pretty close to formulating it. So you'll be hearing from me soon.
All right. So that's the show. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you were laughing. I hope you learned a little bit. There's some good books. There's a lot of little big things in there. And I hope you caught that last little Easter egg. The American Climbing Podcast is coming out soon. So if you guys don't follow Devin Dabney on Instagram or the American Climbing Podcast on Instagram, do it now. Because when this thing drops, I've had a sneak peek. You guys are going to lose your mind. I'm almost so jealous. I almost don't want him to put it out because I'm afraid you're going to not listen to me anymore. But you know something? If you're afraid of your homie's success, then you need to reevaluate yourself. So Devin, go on with your bad self, Playboy, because I am behind you and I support you unequivocally. Guys, ladies, boys and girls, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please join the Sticker Club. Please support this podcast in any way, shape, or form that you want to. To end this episode today, we're going to drop that track Pearl by Devin Dabney. If you guys haven't already, go on Bandcamp, check out his music. This song is a little explicit, but it is absolute straight fire. Spin that track, Playboy.
Yeah. Yeah. My nigga, I'm slamming doors on the street, Jeep up on a heat seat. I'm on 13th Street, my mind on tilt and tilt on my mind. Rapping on these streets, running them like sweet feet, covered in gold like C3P. Oh, I'm from that P-O-R-T-L-A and D-G. You niggas are way behind, but I got that state of mind. Keep writing the greatest lines while I'm on my way to shine. They be hating mine, but I ain't surprised. Look at me, big smile with a tank top and some top-notch kick. And I bet you will not cop this, cause it's a one-on-one, meaning one and done. And you never gonna get another. In the telly with a honey with a tat up on the belly, and we barely got it in, it was a struggle. Claiming she couldn't find a rubber. Motives barely undercover. I ain't trying to make a baby, cause I got bills and I struggle. Make that double. I'm in the mortar, killing niggas with boredom. Let them write up they bullshit lyrics, rap and record them. Feeling like they important. I can see the sun for the first day, like all year. No rain, about to hop out the crib first thing. Speakers bumping that Earth Gang, my yeah, nigga. Shout out to Earth Gang though. Yeah. What? Getting swifty to you niggas, get me. Come on. Woo. I'm feeling some type of way that only you can feel if you ain't seen the sun for like 8 weeks. Let me hit him with this. Rolling through your city with a dime piece with me. Started real gritty, now I'm sitting real pretty. You niggas probably hate me, so I feel like Tom Brady. Especially since I'm rolling in the brand new Patriot. Jeep, no Durango. Silver pain, no chain, no. Feeling unchained, no Django. Say you getting money, nigga, but you really ain't, though. The gangster raps play, times change, bro. Thought he wanna do like me. Who's down to do hiking? Fuck a good and hit her with the Ruby Jewel ice cream. Don't take this stuff lightly, because it's unlikely that you will ever find a nigga rapping this tightly. I got it so while you talk trash on the gram, I'm with my dog, ashing out grams. I'm on the ball, cash in the clutch. I want it all, half ain't enough. Having the ball, laughing it up. Anything I want now, I can have it. Remember when we was post, shit sucked. Can of ravioli in the cabinet. But that's life. Didn't change till I decided to put the work in until it's perfect and stack the money up chest height. Y'all niggas know I'm the best, right? King of the Northwest side, home of the mean green, but believe me, killing y'all is the best high. Like, nigga. On the real though, I'm about to take my black ass outside, cause it's like 58 degrees. Yep.
I like what you got. Good job.